Annandale Fall, which is one of Grenada's tourism site, is about to be commercialized. This was released in a post-cabinet briefing just days ago by the tourism minister, and I'll read a piece of the article here. It says that the tourism minister Clarice Modest made the disclosure on Tuesday during a weekly post-cabinet briefing, and she said commercialized, not privatization. It means that it would be leased by somebody or an entity that is going to run it, but it still belongs to the nation, she said. Now, this is an excerpt from that particular post-cabinet briefing, and because they are relying heavily on the Jamaican model, we also have some information on our Jamaican correspondent that will give us some more information as to how the process really runs in Jamaica. Check out the release here from the post-cabinet briefing.
Morning, Linda Straker, freelance reporter. Minister, you spoke a lot about the tourism and you ended with the possible commercialization of some sites. As we know, we're in the early days of the 2019-2020 cruise ship season. Can you provide an update as to the amount of tourist attractions or site that has been either refurbished or new sites identified?
Okay, well, just off my head, in the past year, we did expend quite a bit of money in doing the trails at Grenada because it has emerged, but a growing demand for more physical activities like trails or things like river rafting and so we've done quite a bit on that. In Mongazo, which is owned by government, that one has been contracted out to a local, a Grenadian person to manage, and I understand when the Jamaicans visited it, they were very, very pleased, and it's something that they're encouraging that we fast track and we move with it. Annandale is close to commercialization, and I say commercialization and not privatization. It means that it will be leased to somebody or an entity that is going to run it, but it belongs to the nation, to the people. I just wanted to clarify that. So that is one that we have not done much work with because we have a serious proposal that has been accepted. It was subjected to all of the processes for contracting out that the commercialization. We did the request for proposals and so on, and we got two, and we did it again and we still got the same two, so we decided to go ahead with it, but they were very good proposals and one has been selected. We've done some work at Bathway, infrastructural works at Bathway, and certainly about 2 weeks ago, it's not infrastructure, but it's an important addition. 2 weeks ago, we handed over ATV, what is ATV again? It's a vehicle that can go on any terrain. I think that's what it is, any terrain vehicle. All terrain vehicles, that's what it is. For grand dance, because we all know the length of the beach. And if something occurs in one end and the police is at the other end, we know that a lot could happen before the police gets there. So the Ministry of Tourism, we saw it fit, working with the private sector to purchase that vehicle so that the police and the task force that is there can get to a site very quickly.
All right, so the minister mentioned commercialization, but what does that really mean? Does it mean then that locals will now have to pay to access those beaches and those falls? And she also mentioned Jamaica, that this is being done in Jamaica. So we got a chance to speak to our contributor, Chapper John West in Jamaica, to tell us how this actually functions in Jamaica and what are some of the pushback from Jamaicans there. Check out this interview with Chapper John West. Now, the Grenada government moved to commercialize certain aspect of the tourism sector based on a Jamaican model. Now, to help us identify and talk about the Jamaican models, my friend Chapper John West, a fellow contributor, Jamaican contributor right here. Chapper, tell us about how this commercialization of the parks, not parks, will be beaches and falls work in Jamaica.
Greetings, Junior. It's been a while, and greetings to your ride along family. That whole process of what is now called commercializing of these public entities and public spaces like the beaches. In our case, most of our transition was from beaches, not necessarily falls. We have quite a few falls, but we haven't gone there yet, and I believe that we might go there. That process was really, the government in Jamaica have a company, a subsidiary. It's a government entity called UDC. It's the Urban Development Corporation. So they are basically mandated to manage public spaces, parks, beaches, falls, and all that good stuff. And what they've done in the case of Puerto Rico Beach in Jamaica, one of our major public beach it was, they have leased this property to a private investor who would have gone in there and done tremendous work as it relates to developing that area and make it more comfortable for patrons and for persons going there. They did more than what the government could do. A lot of people, you get some pushback. There was some negative pushback. I think majority of it, there was mixed reaction overall. But majority of it, I think, Junior, was positive. Because the end result was that the beach and the facilities looked a whole lot different from what it was before. So even though you had some negative reaction towards the initial stages of it, all in all, I think it came out very well. That persons were very much receptive and understand that, look, if you want to have good facilities, then it come at a cost. There's no free lunch. And while we can say that we pay our taxes and we're entitled, yes, but when it comes to the amenities, the bathroom facilities and all these good stuff, it come at a cost. And I think the transition from publicly owned, government owned and operated, to privately managed, that transition went very well. I think the Jamaican government, though, Junior, had very carefully craft the messaging.
Yeah, and that's the next question, because in the messaging here for Grenada, they're saying that it is commercialization, not privatization. How do you see, how did the people accept the difference of those terminologies?
Well, in Jamaica, privatization is really a negative connotation in our context, because we have gone through a rough period where privatization just never, it came across as government selling out what was, owned by the citizens to private people. And because in the past, there were some, transitions or transactions that carry a lot of corruption with it. When government sells or enter into a deal with a private entity, there's always something that smells fishy.
Right.
But I think we've moved away from that now, because government now is doing what is called in Jamaica. That's why I said to you, the messaging is very important. In Jamaica, the message to the citizens is that, for example, the Puerto Rico Beach is not sold to the investors. It is leased on a contractual basis, it's on a concession basis.
Right.
So they're operating something that is owned by the citizens. So
right.
In other words, the citizens are still the owners. So the government of Jamaica now is using the terminology public-private partnership.
Right.
And that, I think, the message that reached the people that, look here, we're not selling these beaches out to private sector. They are managing it on our behalf.
Right.
And in most cases, they are doing a pretty decent job at it.
Well, because we see, in just the description, the word privatization, it would mean that the government will be selling out those items or those landmarks to a private individual or the private sector. In commercialization, it basically leasing it for a period of time to someone, but that person doesn't necessarily own it. It's still government owned, but just for a period of time, they're managing it for a profit.
Absolutely.
For a profit, which leads me to my next question. You have private Jamaicans, citizens of Jamaica, they have to pay to access those beaches?
Yes. A matter of fact, those beaches, the same beach, we've always paid to access beaches, whether it was government owned or not. We always pay, but you didn't pay anything exorbitant. It was mainly a stipend, mainly a contribution for parking or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it wasn't as large as it is now. I won't use the term exorbitant because I don't know if to pay $1,000 to access the beach, for example, in Puerto Rico, I think it's $1,000. Jamaican, which is somewhere in the region of what, $6, $8 US,
right.
thereabout. I don't think that's high, because when you look at what you're paying for access to good clean bathroom, you're paying for access to good refreshment and entertainment, you're also paying for lifeguard services,
right,
which in the past we didn't have that. So I think in the end part of it, persons are not so caught up with the negative of it, because it pays off. You know, you're getting value for your money.
How has this partnership better the facilities? You made mention of it, but did it make a big obvious difference in terms of the equipment and making sure that it's clean and taken care of?
Night and day the difference. I've seen the one in Puerto Rico. Matter of fact, the government has just now entered into another agreement for another beach in Kingston, which is run by the same Urban Development Corporation, UDC, which is run by government. The government has now moved into another major beach in Kingston, which is the Fort Clarence Beach. And that is also going to be entered into a concession agreement, which is what Puerto Rico is, a concession agreement. It's like you're running a canteen into a government building. It's the same principle. You operate in the government facility and you improve the offerings and you make a profit from it, but you don't own it. You basically have an agreement with the government and you invest your money, and of course you're going to look for a return on your investment. What I can say to you though, Junior, is that so far the major one that has been entered into is the Puerto Rico beach, and it is night and day the difference as it relates to the amenities and the safety. I mean, your car get stolen and all that stuff. You don't have that. There's a sense of security and there's a sense of cleanliness in the environment. So it's a partnership that works, and I'm hoping that in Grenada it will do the same.
Right. Well, we're still looking at it, still paying attention to the story. There's the mixed bag of reaction in terms of the commercialization of this, because this is pretty new. Annandale Fall, which is, Grenada, a lot of people would access those areas there. For many, many years, they have not paid anything to access those places. So it's new. And based on the fact that we have some Jamaicans that are coming in and advising our GTA in terms of how we could better uplift our tourism commodities and stuff like that. So the advice that they're getting, I'm sure, is based on that blueprint of what's happening in Jamaica. It's left to be seen. And you said when in Jamaica there was not much of a pushback after that was introduced, right?
No, there wasn't initially, because again, people are very skeptic. Anything that has to do with transitioning from government to private always come with a pushback. Always. But what I think what paid off in Jamaica's case is that the end result, how it looked, how it feel, and again, the most important part of it, Junior, is the sensitization of the citizens. The sensitization process leading up is very important. How do you go out there and message? How do you go out there and talk to the people? Making them aware that this is going to happen. There's development coming in. There's jobs. There's way more jobs that's going to be provided on these beaches than what exists now. Because if you improve the facility, improve the offerings and amenities, more people are going to come. So they're going to hire more people. If you charge more money to enter, then you can pay people more, provided that, we don't have that greedy mentality. But that's the trickle down or the trickle up effect of it. more people will get a chance to set up shops in there, to own shops or to operate, whether it is transportation. So for any area in Grenada that that enters in such a partnership with an investor, Junior, that area, that geographic area is going to benefit significantly because there's going to be jobs.
All right. Thanks, Chopper. We appreciate the insight. And great job you're doing down there in Jamaica. We'll keep in touch.
Yes, sir.
So that was our contributor, Chopper John West. Let me know what you guys think. I know there will be many consultation following up this announcement and other information that will be put out there, media reports, and we're going to be following this story. But at the same time, and in the meantime, I want to hear what you guys would say. Comment and share right at the bottom. I'm interested to read in all your comments on this particular topic. Commercialization of Annandale Fall. Let me know what you think about this.